The hour of convening having arrived, all members will please take their seats. All members will report to the floor of the House and take their seats. Clerk will please ring the bell. We're about to have the call of the roll. All members will report to the floor of the House. We're going to have the call of the roll now. All members present will please vote green to signify their presence in the chamber, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? Have all members now voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines. Doorkeepers will please close the doors and keep them closed. We'll begin our day with scripture reading and prayer by the chaplain, after which we will pledge allegiance to the flag of our country. Our chaplain this morning will be introduced by the gentleman from the 116th House District, the chairman of the House Appropriations Committee, Chairman England. Chairman England.
Good morning. Well, y'all are alive today. Good to be in front of you today to introduce our pastor of the day. And gentlemen in the room, you know, when you start dating that young apple of your eye, there are always folks that kind of come along in that deal. And so I've got a few in-laws with me here today. And I'll just tell you real quick, the good Lord blessed me with some wonderful people for in-laws. I want to introduce first my mother and father-in-law, Doug and Betty Casper. Miss Betty's sister, Diane, and her husband, Edwin, are sitting here today. They are the parents of our pastor of the day. And then the pastor's wife, Becky, if you would please stand, and Callan, if you would please stand and let the body recognize y'all. As you'll see, Chuck is a young man, so when Cindy and I started dating, when she was still a child too, he was a very young man. And so on Sundays after church, we would usually go to Cindy's grandmother's for lunch, and Chuck and all the family would be there. And so I got to know him from a very young age, and it surprises me not in the least that he became a preacher. And that's just the kind of young man he's always been, someone that's always had a huge heart for people and a huge heart for children and adolescents as they grow up. He currently teaches special education in Jefferson City Schools and been doing that for about 20 years. Coached baseball, brought his team to back-to-back Final Four championship races there. But currently, he is a bivocational pastor. He still teaches, but at the same time, he preaches as a student pastor at the Northeast Church in Brazelton, Georgia. So, ladies and gentlemen, I bring to you today Pastor Chuck Cook.
Good morning. It's certainly an honor to be here this morning, and I would like to say thank you to Speaker Ralston and to Chairman England, and the members of the House. It's certainly a prestigious honor to be here, and it's kind of funny for Terry to say that he saw that in me as growing up, because he may have been the only one. It's kind of hard to go back to your home after being a teenager, but I do appreciate those kind words. And I do want to share this morning a devotion that I found, and it was inspired by the writings of Ann Shorb. But it's going to have to do with sports and athletics, because that's certainly part of my background and part of what molded me as the person that I am today. And it starts out in Hebrews chapter number 12, verses 1 and 2, and it says this: "Since we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside every weight and the sin which so easily ensnares us, and let us run with endurance the race that is set before us, looking unto Jesus, the author and the finisher of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and has sat down at the right hand of the throne of God." It was just last year that we enjoyed the Sochi, Russia Winter Olympics. Now, it was a little bit more interesting to me because my daughter is from the Sochi area of Russia, and so we paid close attention and we watched that. But as we watched the athletes, we were amazed at their talent, intrigued with their spirit of adventure, and inspired by their commitment. And although they came from many different countries, cultures, and language groups, they all had one thing in common. They longed to win the Olympic gold medal. Sadly, only one in each race won that prize. In Hebrews chapter number 12, the Christian life is compared to a race. The words of this chapter were penned to encourage believers who were facing great persecution to fix their eyes on the perfect example of the Lord Jesus Christ, who overcame life's toughest obstacles. To win the race, the Olympian must stay focused on the goal, put forth their very best effort, and stay committed to the task. In the Christian life, winning requires the same disciplines. You must lay aside the sinful habits and the attitudes that hold you back and fix your eyes on Jesus. Only by focusing on and following his example of love and surrender and obedience can we truly win the race in life. Yes, the Christian race requires great commitment and focus, but has one great reward that the Olympic Games do not have. In the Christian race, every runner can win. But Paul wrote in 1 Corinthians 9:24, "They all run to obtain the prize." What an encouraging thought. If you fix your eyes on Jesus as you run the race of life, you are guaranteed to be a winner. No other race on earth can boast such greatness. No wonder J. Vernon McGee, well-known Bible teacher and author, refers to Hebrews chapter 12 as the hope chapter. As Dr. McGee said, "Let us now get out of the grandstand, let us get down on the race course of life, and let us do whatever God has called us to do, wherever he has called us to live and move and have our being. Let us run the Christian race, and let us move out for God." I would like to personally challenge each of you to run the race that is set before you. I know that many of you face challenges and frustrations. I was talking with Terry just before we came in, Chairman England, and he was sharing with me that this has been a very stressful week. And I am sure that many of you face those same stresses. I faced those stresses coming down this morning on I-85. Many of you face those challenges each and every day. But what I want to do is I want to encourage you to fix your eyes on Jesus. No matter what you face each and every day, no matter how hard your day is, no matter how tough it might be, fix your eyes on Jesus, and you're guaranteed one thing, that you don't have to face the day alone. Would you please pray with me? Heavenly Father, we do thank you so much for this day. Father, I thank you for every individual that's in this room. Father, I thank you for the Speaker Ralston, and I thank you for Chairman England and every single person that represents the state of Georgia in this room. Lord, I pray that you would be with them, you would walk with them. Father, every decision that they make, every thought that they have, I pray that it would be one that would honor and glorify you. Father, I pray that for each and every individual in this room and their families, Lord, I know that we've had stresses and weather this week that have caused even more stress. And Lord, I pray that every family member is taken care of. Lord, I pray that you provide for every need that they have. Lord, I pray that as they meet in session today, that their focus will be on taking care of the job at hand. Lord, that they don't have to worry about and they don't have to be concerned with the other things going around. But Lord, I pray most of all that everything that's done in this house honors and glorifies you. Lord, we thank you again for this time and this day, and we give you the glory for all of it. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Doorkeepers will unlock the doors. Chair recognizes Chairman Chokus, the chair of the Committee on Information and Audits.
Good morning, Mr. Speaker. Your Committee on Information and Audits has read the journals of the previous legislative day and have found them to be correct.
Chairman Chokus, the chair of the Committee on Information and Audits, reports that the journal of the previous legislative day has been read and found to be correct. Is there any objection to the confirmation of the journal? The chair hears none, and the journal is confirmed. The clerk will read the resolution establishing the order of business for the day.
Mr. O'Neill, the 146, moves the following to be established as the order of business during the first part of the period. Unanimous consents. Introduction of bills and resolutions. First reading and reference of House bills and resolutions. Second reading of bills and resolutions. Reports of standing committees. Third reading and passage of uncontested local bills and resolutions. First reading and reference of Senate bills and resolutions. Morning orders.
Is there any objection to the adoption of the resolution establishing the order of business for the day? The chair hears none, and the resolution is adopted. First reading of bills and resolutions. The clerk will read.
House Bill 396 by Representative Knight of the 130th, Harold the 106th, Battle of the 15th, Williamson the 115th, Stevens of the 164th. The bill to be titled an act to amend our Title 48 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated related to revenue and taxation.
Ways and Means.
House Bill 397 by Representative Knight of the 130th, Roberts the 155th, Houston of the 170th, Nimmer the 178th, McCall the 33rd, and others. The bill to be titled an act to amend Article 2 of Chapter 6 of Title 2 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to soil and water conservation districts.
Agriculture and Consumer Affairs.
House Bill 398 by Representative Holmes, the 129th. The bill being titled an act to amend an act to incorporate and grant a new charter of the City of Monticello.
Intergovernmental Coordination.
House Bill 399 by Representative Spencer, the 180th, Stover the 71st, Quick the 117th, and Tarvin of the 2nd. The bill be titled an act to amend Article 4 of Chapter 7 and Title 31 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to county and municipal hospital authorities.
Health and Human Services.
House Bill 400 by Representative Hawkins, the 27th. A bill being titled an act to amend an act incorporating the town of Claremont in Hall County.
Intergovernmental coordination.
House Bill 401 by Representative Estration of the 104th, Ballinger the 23rd, Dempsey the 13th, and Broderick of the 4th. Bill being titled an act to amend Chapter 1A of Title 20 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to early care and learning.
Education.
House Bill 402 by Representative Lunston of the 12th, England of the 116th, Broderick of the 4th, Coleman of the 97th, Dixon of the 6th, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 9 of Title 33 and Chapter 9 of Title 34 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to the regulation of insurance rates and workers' compensation.
Industry and labor.
House Bill 403 by Representative Jackson of the 128th. A bill to be titled an act to create a Board of Elections and Registration from Washington County.
Intergovernmental coordination.
House Bill 404 by Representative Jackson of the 128th. A bill to be entitled an act to abolish the office of the County Treasurer, Glasscock County.
Intergovernmental coordination.
House Bill 405 by Representative Quick of the 117th, Willard of the 51st, Oliver of the 82nd, and Fleming of the 121st. Bill be titled an act to amend Article 2, Chapter 5 of Title 13 and Chapter 3 of Title 19, Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to the defense of the statute of frauds.
Judiciary.
House Bill 406 by Representative Parsons of the 44th. Bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 6 of Chapter 2 of Title 20 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to the Quality Basic Education Act.
Education.
House Bill 407 by Representative Maber of the 63rd, Broderick of the 4th, Rogers the 29th, and Bruce the 61st. Bill be titled an act to amend Article 10 of Chapter 34, Title 43 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to pain management clinics.
Health and Human Services.
House Bill 408 by Representative Willard of the 51st, Raffensperger of the 50th, Geisinger of the 48th, and Wilkinson of the 52nd. A bill being titled an act to amend Article 3 of Chapter 13, Title 48 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to excise tax on rooms, lodging, and accommodations.
Ways and Means.
House Bill 409 by Representative Taylor of the 173rd, Sims of the 123rd, Harbin of the 122nd, Cooper of the 43rd, Carter of the 175th. The bill being titled an act to amend Chapter 24, Title 33 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to insurance general provisions.
Insurance.
House Bill 410 by Representative Evans, the 42nd, Carsons, the 46th, Reeves, the 34th, Wilkerson of the 38th, and Earhart of the 36th, and others. Bill being titled an act to amend an act creating the State Court of Cobb County.
Intergovernmental coordination.
House Bill 411 by Representative Watson, the 173rd, LaRicchia of the 169th, Shaw of the 176th, Corbett of the 174th, Williams of the 119th, and others. A bill being titled an act to amend Code Section 32-6-26, the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to weight of vehicles and loads.
Transportation.
House Bill 412 by Representative Hamilton of the 24th, Nimmer of the 178th, Fleming of the 121st, Earhart of 36, Bryant of the 162nd, and others. A bill being titled an act to amend Chapter 9 of Title 34 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to workers' compensation.
Industry and Labor.
House Bill 413 by Representative Turner of the 21st, Caldwell the 20th, Cantrell the 22nd, Carson of the 46th, and Ballinger the 23rd. A bill being titled an act to amend an act creating the Office of Commissioner of Cherokee County.
Intergovernmental coordination.
House Bill 414 by Representative Brockway the 102nd, Dungeon of the 25th, Jaspers the 11th, Geiser the 59th, Stovall the 74th, and others. A bill being titled an act to amend Chapter 2 of Title 20 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to elementary and secondary education.
Education.
House Bill 415 by Representative Harbin of the 122nd, Pruitt of the 149th, Clark of the 101st, Wilkinson of the 52nd, Nix of the 69th, and others. The bill being titled an act to amend Chapter 8 of Title 48 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to sales and use taxes.
Ways and Means.
House Bill 416 by Representative Rogers, the 29th, Cooper, the 43rd, Reinders, the 152nd, Kidd of the 145th, Hatch of the 150th, and others. Bill being titled an act to amend Chapter 1 of Title 43 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to general provisions relative to professions and businesses.
Health and Human Services.
House Bill 417 by Representatives Fry, the 118th, Quick of the 117th, Williams, the 119th, Atwood of the 179th, Hitches, the 161st, and others. Bill being titled an act to amend Title 40 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to motor vehicles.
Motor Vehicles.
House Bill 418 by Representative Reeves, the 34th, Tanner, the 9th, Abstration of the 104th, Ramsey, the 72nd, Strickland of the 111th. Bill being titled an act to amend Code Section 15-12-60, the official code of Georgia annotated relating to the qualifications for grand jurors.
Judiciary.
House Bill 419 by Representative Martin of the 49th. Bill being titled an act to amend Chapter 8 of Title 48, the official code of Georgia annotated relating to sales and use taxes.
Ways and Means.
House Bill 420 by Representative Martin of the 49th. A bill being titled an act to amend Article 9 of Chapter 5 of Title 48, official code of Georgia annotated, relating to franchise taxes.
Ways and Means.
House Bill 421 by Representative Nimmer of the 178th, Coomer of the 14th, Dickey the 140th. Bill being titled an act to amend Code Section 47-2-221 of the official code of Georgia annotated, relating to disability allowances payable to personnel.
Public Safety and Homeland Security.
House Bill 422 by Representative Nimmer of the 178th, Coomer of the 14th, Dickey the 140th. Bill being titled an act to amend Code Section 47-2-323 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to membership in retired systems.
Retirement.
House Bill 423 by Representative Caldwell, the 20th, Peace Hole, the 133rd, Turner the 21st, Brockway the 102nd, Spencer the 180th, and others. Bill being titled an act to amend Code Section 45-12-75 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to the contents and forms of the budget report.
Appropriations.
House Bill 424 by Representative Tarvin of the 2nd. Bill being titled an act to authorize the governing authority of the city of Lafayette to levy an excise tax.
Ways and Means.
House Bill 425 by Representative Chokas, the 138th. Bill being titled an act to amend an act providing for a new charter for the city of Americus.
Intergovernmental Coordination.
House Resolution 425 by Representative Ralston the 7th. The resolution honoring the life of Mr. Roy William Beaver, dedicating an intersection in his memory.
Transportation.
House Resolution 426 by Representative Gordon of the 163rd, Mitchell of the 88th, Marin of the 96th, Scott of the 76th, Jones of the 62nd, and others. A resolution encouraging the Superior Courts to prefer the suspension of the service of a sentence or probation.
Judiciary Non-Civil.
House Resolution 450 by Representative Turner of the 21st, McCall of the 33rd, Kaiser of the 59th, Stover of the 71st, Spencer of the 180th, and others. A resolution creating a House Study Committee on Genetically Engineered Foods.
Agriculture and Consumer Affairs.
Unnumbered House Bill by Representative Taylor, 173rd, Smiley, 135th, Stevens of the 164th, Abrams of the 89th, Sims of the 123rd. Bill being entitled an act to amend Code Section 48-8-3, the official code of Georgia annotated relating to exemptions from sales and use tax.
Ways and Means.
Senate Bill 51 by Senator Burke of the 11th, Watson the 1st, Huffstetler of the 52nd, Miller of the 40th, Miller of the 49th, and others. Bill being entitled an act to amend Chapter 4 of Title 26, the official code of Georgia annotated relating to pharmacists and pharmacies.
Health and Human Services.
Senate Bill 65 by Senator Stone of the 23rd, Hill of the 6th, Albers of the 56th, McCoon of the 29th, Jones of the 22nd, and others. A bill being entitled an act to amend Code Section 44-13-100 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to exemptions for the purpose of bankruptcy and intestate insolvent estates.
Judiciary.
Completes the first readings.
Second reading of bills and resolutions. The clerk will read.
HB 387 by Representative Kelly of the 16th, a bill relating to banks and finance debtor and creditor. HB 388 by Representative Hardin of the 148th, a bill to provide that the judge of the probate court of Wilcox County shall also serve as the chief magistrate of the magistrate court of Wilcox County. HB 389 by Representative Harrell of the 106th, a bill relating to imposition rate, collection, and assessment of state income taxes. HB 390 by Representative Duncan of the 26th, a bill relating to general provisions regarding the state sales and use tax. HB 391 by Representative Smith of the 134th, a bill relating to exemptions from sales and use tax. HB 392 by Representative Casas of the 107th, a bill relating to non-public post-secondary educational institutions. HB 393 by Representative Martin of the 49th, a bill relating to motor vehicle fair practices. HB 394 by Representative Cooper of the 43rd, a bill relating to nurses. HB 395 by Representative Chandler of the 105th, a bill relating to professions and businesses. House Resolution 419 by Representative Sims of the 123rd, a resolution encouraging the United States Congress to extend authorization for the Augusta Canal National Heritage Area to receive federal funding from the National Park Service through 2021. House Resolution 420 by Representative McCall of the 33rd, a resolution honoring the life and memory of Mr. Wayne J. Hawes and dedicating a bridge in his honor. House Resolution 421 by Representative Werkheiser of the 157th, a resolution dedicating the Georgia Grown Trail 301. Senate Bill 58 by Senator Hill of the 6th, a bill relating to the Board of Regents in the university system. Senate Bill 79 by Senator Unterman of the 45th, a bill relating to victim compensation. Senate Bill 93 by Senator Burke of the 11th, a bill to provide that future elections for the office of probate judge of Seminole County shall be nonpartisan elections. 3 second readers.
Reports of standing committees the clerk will read.
Representative Jan Tankersley, the 160th District Chairman of the Committee on Intergovernmental Coordination Locals, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Intergovernmental Coordination Locals added under consideration the following bills of the House. It has instructed me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendations. House Bill 305 do pass. House Bill 329 do pass. House Bill 345 do pass. House Bill 371 do pass. House Bill 379 do pass. House Bill 380 do pass.
We are about to take up the local calendar. About to vote on the local calendar, third reading and passage of local uncontested bills. If there is no objection, we will vote on the local calendar as a whole with a recorded vote. Hearing none, it is so ordered. The clerk will read the local calendar.
House Bill 305 by Representative Jackson, the 128th, Washington County. House Bill 329 by Representative Reeves, the 34th, Cobb County. House Bill 345 by Representative Trammell, 132nd, Troup County. House Bill 371 by Representative Corbett of the 174th, Lowndes County. House Bill 379 by Representative Dickerson of the 113th, Newton County. House Bill 380 by Representative Nix of the 69th, Troup County.
Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered on the local calendar? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bills? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall these bills now pass? All those in favor of passage of the bills on the local calendar will vote aye. All those opposed will vote no when the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine on the passage of the bills on the local calendar. The ayes are 160, the nays are 0. These bills, having received the requisite constitutional majority, are therefore passed. This House will be in order. Chair recognizes for the introduction of the Doctor of the Day, Representative David Stover.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning, everybody. I guess you're all wondering why I've called this little meeting today. I've got the Doctor of the Day, Dr. Baruti. He earned his medical degree from the Uniformed Services University of the Health Services in Bethesda, Maryland. He completed his family medicine residency at Martin Army Community Hospital and became board certified in family medicine in July 2005. After his residency, Dr. Baruti deployed to Baghdad, Iraq, where he served as a battalion surgeon for the 8th Infantry Battalion, 3rd Brigade, 4th Division. Following his deployment, Dr. Baruti joined the Department of Family Medicine at Byron Jones Army Community Hospital in Fort Polk, Louisiana. 3 years later, he returned to Fort Benning, Georgia, and became the medical director over 4 outpatient clinics in Sand Hill. He's the current medical director of South Central Primary Care Center, Inc. He holds 2 U.S. patents for his work in developing the Flow Brush Asthma Surveillance Telemedicine FAST system. Dr. Baruti.
Thank you, Mr. Stover. Thank you. I hail from South Georgia. I am the medical director of a South Central Primary Care Clinic. On behalf of our 6 clinics in 4 counties, we want to thank you, each member, for your service and sacrifice, for grappling with the issues for the improvement of all Georgians. So we thank you. I personally want to thank you for inviting me to help take care of you. You know where we are. We seen with 4 people today, and we gave good care, just like we do in South Central. All right? So thanks a lot. Thanks you, and I hope to be back.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
We're about to go on to morning orders. About to go to morning orders. House will come to order. House will come to order. Chair recognizes for a morning order Chairman Dempsey. Chairman Dempsey.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have a bill that I'm going to be putting up here to allow everyone to please think about signing, but particularly our veterans. This morning, following the picture, I tried to catch as many of you as I could to sign, but this is a permissive bill. It is not a mandate. It will allow any employer may create and use a veterans preference employment policy, which will be in writing and applied uniformly to employment decisions regarding hiring, promotion, or retention during a reduction of force. We are so privileged to have so many veterans returning to Georgia. This is being brought particularly by the Georgia Retail Association. I would love for every member to sign it, but particularly for all of you veterans to come and talk to me about it. I'm going to leave it up here, and I thank you for it. I hope everybody has a good day and a great weekend.
Chair recognizes Chairman Smith for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members of the House. Next week, Keep Georgia Beautiful, and there are 78 affiliates will be in our capital, so I have a resolution recognizing them. Most of you have or have someone nearby who has a Keep Georgia Beautiful or an affiliate program, so I'll have it up here for you to sign. Thank you very much.
Chair recognizes Representative Tom Taylor for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. 53 years ago today, February 20th, 1962, a young lieutenant colonel named John Glenn orbited the Earth for the first time, the first American to orbit the Earth in Friendship 7. Colonel Glenn was a veteran of World War II and Korea as a Marine aviator. Ironically, his wingman in Korea was the baseball great Ted Williams. Any of you who have been to the National Air and Space Museum can see Friendship 7. It's really impressive when you look at, it's about the size of a 65-gallon garbage can that Colonel Glenn orbited the Earth in. Later on, became a U.S. Senator from Ohio, and not only the first American to orbit Earth, but later on the space shuttle in his 70s, became the oldest American to orbit Earth. He was amazed to see the advance in sophistication, but they modified it, he joked, and they put the space shuttle controls on the clapper for him. Anyway, I have an original Life magazine from that week. Great picture of Colonel Glenn with President Kennedy with the caption, says, "Two exuberant young Americans share the country's joy." Again, I just want to recognize that 53 years ago today. Thank you.
We are still on morning orders, and I'm going to ask the House to give attention and respect to the members in the well. Chair recognizes the chair of the Minority Caucus, Chairman Flood, for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On this evening at 6:30 at the Center for Human Rights and Civil Rights Museum, there will be a screening of a movie called Leadbelly. That screening will take place at 6:30. It's sponsored by the Smithsonian Institute, Comcast, and the National Civil Rights Museum. It's a wonderful opportunity to see a movie about a great musician, Huey William Ledbetter, who's inducted in 1988 in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. That screening will also include a tour of the Civil Rights Museum, so please try to attend. For those of you, I know it's a Friday evening, who may be around this evening, that screening will start at 7:15. Doors open at 6:30 tonight. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Representative Dudgeon for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The House Working Group on Technology is embarking on a project in order to start reducing the amount of paper and providing more online access for the members of the House. Call your attention to the screen here. One of the very first things we're doing is making a web page visible for members, and I sent an email this morning with the link, where when we have same-day things, like when we got the budget degree yesterday, or Representative Weldon had an amendment, in addition to putting that paper on your desk, we're also going to make, the clerk will post it to this website with the idea of moving to the future, and not this year, but in later years, we might have the option to where you start reducing the amount of paper and going paperless. So if Brent will honor, if you clicks right here, that is the exact same piece of paper that was on your desk for the amended budget. You can see, and the key here is that the clerk maintains this page, and therefore the clerk matches up the items. The amendment, it also came from Representative Weldon yesterday. Here again, the exact same thing in electronic form. So we want to make you aware of that. Like I said, everyone got an email this morning which shows you how to access this website. Second important point is that I want to encourage everybody to get their phones and their personal computers and their tablets on the members wireless network. There's the guest network, but we now have one for members. It's secure, it's got better bandwidth, and it also allows you to have access to this website and also to the bill comparison website. Rebecca from IT is going to be in the ante room today. If you bring your personal device over there, she'll switch it over to the members wireless and it'll stay that way. So it'll be the next couple of days. Again, you want to do this anyway if you have a personal device you use here on the Capitol. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chair recognizes for a morning order Representative Stover.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today, if anyone's interested, I'm dropping a bill that increases transparency for hospitals. Right now, their database can be managed by the Georgia Hospital Association or any other existing database provider, and the bill will increase transparency and require them to report directly to Department of Community Health. If anyone is interested in that, please come see me.
Chair recognizes Representative Glanton for a morning order. House will be in order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, I rise this morning to pay respect and gratitude to the members of this great body who has served another great institution, the Armed Forces of the United States of America. It is my hope that every member of this House would pause for a moment from your very important business to show your gratitude and appreciation for the service and sacrifices made by this group of men and women and their families. We will recognize them by branch of service, beginning with the oldest to the youngest branch. We ask, if you are a member of this House and have served, to please join me at this time in the well as your branch is called. The United States Air National Guard, the United States Army, the United States Navy, the United States Marine Corps, the United States Coast Guard, and finally, the United States Air Force. Each of these members took a solemn oath to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic. We pledge to protect this great country and its way of life. While we may have served in different branches at different times in history with varying responsibilities, we all serve ultimately with the same goal: to defend America and Americans even to the death. John 15:13 reads, "Greater love has no man than to lay down his life for his friends." And so today we take time out in this great body to thank you and your families for your service, because we realize that freedom is not free. And it is through the sufferings and sacrifices of those who stand with me today that America, even with its many challenges, remains the greatest country in the world, because you served. Mr. Speaker, as we take our seats, we believe that through the memories of our families, the legacies shared with and by our friends and colleagues, and the memorials of our services recorded in history and established by our great state and nation, that indeed we will never die. We will simply fade away. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen of the House. Yes, sir. Come on, real quick.
Picture. Some folk have left. Tell them to come back.
Well, at least you're here this time.
Ah, man, on time.
Stand down on the front. Come on up here, Bob. Hey, man.
Let's hurry, guys.
Right in, guys.
Clerk will read the caption to a group of privileged resolutions. The clerk will read.
The following resolution is to be read and referred to the Committee on Rules. Commending the Social Circle High School wrestling team and inviting them to be recognized by the House. Following two resolutions were favorably reported out of rules. Commending the Emergency Management Association of Georgia and recognizing February 25th, 2015 as Emergency Management Association Day at the Capitol, and inviting the association to be recognized by the House. Recognize the month of April 15, 2015 as Genocide Prevention and Awareness Month at the Capitol, and inviting the Georgia Coalition to Prevent Genocide to be recognized by the House. Commending the social work profession and recognizing March 2015 as National Social Work Month. Recognizing and commending Sandra Jo Ann Middlebrooks Orr and Jamie Herbert Jimmy Orr on the occasion of their 53rd wedding anniversary. Recognizing and commending Councilman Wallace Norrington on his outstanding public service. Honoring the life and memory of Doris Watson Joyner, and for other purposes. That completes the reading of privileged resolutions.
Is there any objection to the adoption of the privileged resolutions? The chair hears none, and the resolutions are adopted. All right, we're going on now to the rules calendar. We're going on to the rules calendar. Clerk will read the caption to House Bill 202. House Bill 202.
House Bill 202 by Representative Battles, the 15th. To be entitled an act to amend Title 48 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to revenue and taxation so as to provide for the comprehensive provision of provisions regarding ad valorem taxation assessment and appeal. The bill having been referred to the Committee on Ways and Means, the committee recommends the same do pass by committee substitute.
The chair recognizes the chairman of the Retirement Committee, Chairman Battles, to present the bill. This House will be in order. Gentlemen may proceed.
Hello. Oh, there we are. Okay. I bring to you today House Bill 202. For the most part, it is House Bill 295 that was approved last year out of this body with a vote of 165 to 3. The 3 that voted against it are no longer here. So I had nothing to do with that. This bill makes several changes in the administration of property tax. It was worked on for over 3 years in order to perfect this, and by a coalition of property taxpayers, advocates, business trade organizations, tax commissioners, senior court clerks, the ACCG, and several tax attorneys and tax consultants. Last year, the bill did not make it on the last night in a conference committee. The issue was that the Superior Court judges, there was a section in there that the Senate struck, and we did not come to a compromise last year, but held the bill, that held it up last year, but now it has been resolved. I am not aware of any opposition for this bill. This bill makes several changes that will benefit property taxpayers, and if they're appealed on these property values of how that they would best be able to do that by qualified individuals. Mr. Speaker, without going through the 43 pages of this bill, which I don't think anyone wants me to, if you have any questions, I'll stand for a question or two. If not, I would ask for your favorable consideration.
You have a question if you care to yield.
I will take one.
Chair recognizes Representative Shaw to your right for a question.
Does the gentleman yield?
I do.
Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to make sure this bill doesn't do anything that would take any of these legal ads or anything like that out of the newspapers and force them to just be available online only.
No, Representative, what this does is there is in Section 1 is just the ability to use what we have now is the electronic opportunity of serving our citizens. This would provide another way of communication with them individually. This would not release any private information to the community, but it would give them an option whether or not they want to have their bills come electronically or by paper.
Okay, thank you.
You do not have any other questions.
Thank you. I'd ask for your favorable consideration.
Gentleman has yielded the well. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to adopting the committee substitute? The chair hears none. The committee substitute is adopted. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of House Bill 202 will vote aye. All those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines. On the passage of House Bill 202, the ayes are 161. The nays are 1. This bill, having received a requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Clerk will read the caption to House Bill 320.
House Bill 320 by Representative Williams, the 119th. Bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 7 of Chapter 3 to Title 20 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to scholarships, loans, and grants, so as to provide that public disclosure of certain records held by the Georgia Student Finance Commission, the Georgia Higher Education Assistance Corporation, and the Georgia Student Finance Authority is not required. This bill having been referred to the Committee on Higher Education, the committee recommends this bill do pass.
Chair recognizes Representative Williams, Representative Chuck Williams, to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, I bring to you today House Bill 320. This bill puts a couple of tools in the toolbox of the Georgia Student Finance Commission, the agency which administers the HOPE program. First thing the bill does, it gives the Student Finance Commission or the commission the ability in the event that they are quizzed under an open records or freedom of information request, it gives them the ability to redact personally identifiable information of the students whom they are serving. Currently, educational institutions from elementary through post-secondary enjoy this protection under a federal law, but it is not clear that that federal law applies to the Student Finance Commission. So obviously with the issues of identity theft and marketers possibly wanting to misuse that information, it would give them the ability to redact that information as they are complying. The second thing this bill does, it gives the Student Finance Commission the ability in the event that they need to recover monies under certain of their programs, the ability to do that through non-judicial means. Currently, the Primary Hope Program and Service Counsel Loan programs, they already have that ability. Some of the later programs that they came along to administer, they do not have that ability to do that, and it would allow them to use common vehicles such as garnishment, offset of lottery winnings, offset of income tax refunds to accomplish their purposes. With that, Mr. Speaker, I will stand for any questions.
You have no questions.
Thank you. I ask for your favorable consideration.
The gentleman has yielded the well. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of House Bill 320 will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine on the passage of House Bill 320. The ayes are 160, the nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Clerk will read the caption to House Bill 298. House Bill 298.
House Bill 298 by Representative Jacobs of the 80th. Bill to be titled an act to amend Code Section 9-11-41 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to certified process servers so as to repeal the sunset and legislative review provisions. This bill having been referred to Committee on Judiciary. The committee recommends that this bill do pass.
Chair recognizes Chairman Jacobs to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, I bring before you today House Bill 298. 5 years ago, we adopted a code section that provides for certification of private process servers. That code section had a sunset in it that would come into effect in the middle of this year unless we do something about the sunset provision. Private process servers are used throughout the state, and they are used they're enabled not just by sheriffs, but they're also enabled by courts directly. And whether they're enabled either way, they are able to participate in the certification process that's in this code section. If the code section goes away, then the certification process goes away. You may have been contacted by a certain elected official in a county that you represent about this bill. I would submit to you that the code section that I'm talking about provides for that particular elected official to have the final say-so as to whether private process servers can operate by that county other than by court order. So really, they already hold all the ability to make a determination under the existing code section. There is no reason not to repeal the sunset provision at this point, and therefore I would ask for the House's favorable consideration of House Bill 298. I'll yield for questions if there are any.
You don't appear to have any questions.
Mr. Speaker, I yield the well.
The gentleman has yielded the well. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of House Bill 298 will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines on the passage of House Bill 298. The ayes are 150, the nays are 14. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Clerk will read the caption to House Bill 160. House Bill 160.
House Bill 160 by Representative Donahue the 30th. Be titled an Act to amend Article 2 of Chapter 3 of Title 27 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to wildlife trapping, trappers, and fur dealers so as to repeal the provision prohibiting the trap of raccoons in certain counties. This bill having been referred to the Committee on Games, Fish, and Parks. The committee recommends that this bill do pass.
We are still, just a minute, Representative. Did anybody hear the chair recognize the member to take the well? And that wasn't a trap. I was actually trying to get you some order because I thought this is a momentous moment here in the House today, and people would want to be paying attention. All right, we're still on the rules calendar. Chair recognizes Representative Donahue now to present his bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen of the House. I bring before you HB 160. Earlier in the session, the DNR came up to me and asked me if I would carry a little piece of legislation I never thought would grow to be nicknames of Rocky Raccoon and some of the things that I've been awarded since this. But basically, I want you to understand a lot of people have learned because of this legislation we're trying to pass. If you are in this district, which is pretty much the green, every bit of this here, and I do have maps, you're illegal if you trap raccoons. You can trap raccoons legally and for over 60 years in the southern counties. The DNR does not want to have to write you a ticket in case you have a raccoon in your trap and you're trapping coyotes or other species. This is something, everything has been in law except we're erasing the line to where if you're in these counties, you now legally can trap raccoons. That doesn't mean everybody in your neighborhood is going to go out like Christmas and buy traps and start trapping raccoons. So let's don't play the game. Let's understand we're doing only one thing. We are allowing to erase that line to where if you do catch a raccoon in a trap, you're not breaking the law. And I'm ready for any questions. I wouldn't imagine there would be any, but...
Well, you might imagine wrong.
Kind of had that suspicion.
Do you yield?
You know, I probably shouldn't, sir, Mr. Chairman, but I think I will. Yes, sir.
Well, let's see. I don't think he's asked a question all session. I enjoy his questions. Chair recognizes Representative Al Williams to your left for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I enjoy you recognizing me. Will the gentleman yield?
Yes, sir, I will.
Is it not true that by passing this bill, we'll be able to get some of our missing raccoons back to South Georgia?
The gentleman speaks with knowledge.
You're a good man.
Thank you, sir.
Do you further yield?
Yes, sir.
Chair recognizes Representative Bruce to your right for a question.
Will the gentleman yield?
Yes, sir.
Does this have anything to do with the barbecue that you were telling me you were planning to have this summer?
Yes, sir. There probably could be a little raccoon on the half shell there.
Do you further yield?
You know, I think I'll take one more.
Chair recognizes Representative Welch to your left for a question.
Does the gentleman yield?
Yes, sir.
Is this a bill that Jerry Clower might be happy seeing pass through the House? And is it not also true that the North Georgia folks are just saying, you know, just shoot up here amongst us, we got to have some relief?
Knock him out, John. Thank you. I appreciate your consideration for passing this bill. Thank you.
Gentleman has yielded the well. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of House Bill 160 will vote aye. All those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines. On the passage of House Bill 160, the ayes are 144, the nays are 18. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Clerk will read the caption to House Bill 49. House Bill 49.
House Bill 49 by Representative Harrell of the 106th, to be entitled an act to amend Title 48 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to revenue and taxation so as to provide for electronic service of certain notices. This bill having been referred to the Committee on Ways and Means, the committee recommends that this bill do pass.
Chair recognizes Representative Harrell to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, today I'm bringing you House Bill 49. This is an identical measure that the House passed last session, 160 to 0. It was included in a larger bill in the Senate and ultimately did not come out of the conference committee. But this is a permissive bill. It would allow taxing jurisdictions to make a determination whether or not they wanted to offer property tax bills electronically. And if they chose to do that, then it would allow the taxpayer to voluntarily choose whether or not to receive that bill. It responds to taxpayers' desires to improve and simplify the billing system, supported by ACCG and GMA. And in my county, which is a large county, they estimate it could save approximately $140,000 a year in billing costs alone. So I would be glad to yield for questions and certainly ask for your support of House Bill 49.
You don't appear to have any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield the well.
Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered on House Bill 49? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of House Bill 49 will vote aye. All those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines on the passage of House Bill 49. The ayes are 164, the nays are 1. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. House Bill 117 was carried over from yesterday's rules calendar to postponed until today. The clerk will read the caption to House Bill 117.
House Bill 117 by Representative Hamilton of the 24th. Bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 8 of Title 34 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to employment security, so as to change certain provisions relating to employment security, to modify the definition of the term most recent employer, to amend Code Section 50-36-1 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to requirements, procedures, and conditions. This bill having been referred to the Committee on Industry and Labor, the committee recommends that this bill do pass.
Chair recognizes Chairman Hamilton to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, I bring before you House Bill 117. This is a department bill from the Department of Labor. It really consists of 4 different areas. Sections 1, 2, and 5 basically just redefine what the most recent employer is, so that the most recent employer, for purposes of knowing who to charge the claims that come into. Section 3 deals with a statute of limitation based on an AG's ruling several years ago, increases that to 7 years. And then Section 4 deals with family violence. It creates the opportunity for an exception for family violence in the unemployment claimant process. And then Section 7 deals with online applications that are currently filed. It allows you to file an online affidavit. And Mr. Chairman, Mr. Speaker, I'll be happy to answer any questions if there are any.
You have a question if you care to yield.
Sure.
Chair recognizes Representative Kirby to your left for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the gentleman yield?
Absolutely.
Is it not true that when you talk about the most recent employer, in the analogy that we often talk about, that if an employee were to voluntarily quit to take another job and then subsequently be terminated, that under this change, that previous employer he voluntarily left would no longer be charged their tax account for the unemployment?
That is correct.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Speaker, if there are no other questions, I'll yield.
There are no other questions. Gentleman has yielded the well. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of House Bill 117 will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. All members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines. On the passage of House Bill 117, the ayes are 159, the nays are 1. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Okay, out of an abundance of caution due to the changing weather forecast, House Bill 246 will be postponed to the next legislative day. House Bill 73 will be postponed to the next legislative day. House Bill 63 will be postponed to the next legislative day. If you have an announcement, make your way to the front of the chamber. We'll be doing page photographs immediately upon adjournment. There are no announcements. We have 2 birthdays. Representative Tom Taylor, he got recognized yesterday, so he's had 2 birthdays now. Happy birthday, Representative Taylor. And to Representative Werkheiser, happy birthday. If you need to make an announcement, you need to see the messenger immediately. If you have pages here, get with your page. All right, no one is signed up for an announcement. The chair recognizes the majority leader of the House for a motion.
Mr. Speaker, I move this House now adjourn until 10 a.m. Monday morning, February 23rd, 2015.
The majority leader has moved that this House adjourn until Monday, February 23rd, 2015 at 10 o'clock a.m. All those in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed will say no. The ayes have it. This House will be adjourned until Monday, February 23 at 10 a.m.